Hey, welcome back to my channel. I'm Blue Guy, and this is the third video in my Witcher series, I guess. I made a video about Witcher 1 and Witcher 2. And today I wanted to make a video about Witcher 3, because that is my favorite game of all time. In this video, I'll just talk about it. I will show you some gameplay, but it's not gonna be gameplay focused like the other two videos. But yeah, let's get into it. The main reason why I love The Witcher 3 is the atmosphere and the immersion you have when you play the game. No other game does it quite like The Witcher for me. You're Geralt, obviously, a witcher in a medieval world full of suffering and war, and it gives you the perfect reason to go around the world and help people out with their stuff, because you're a witcher and that is literally your job. You go around and help people that are willing to pay you. So it justifies you going around doing side quests in that sense. And it's not immersion breaking like in Skyrim. For me it was a bit stupid. You're like the chosen one, but you're out there in bumfuck nowhere doing a side quest for some random guy. No, that doesn't really make sense. But in The Witcher they really did a good job in doing that and keeping the immersion as well. And I mean, since you're basically a witcher, you're alone most of the time, and the only time you really interact with people is when you talk to them for work. And I mean, that's what you do in video games. You basically only talk to NPCs if you need a quest from them or do something that is your reason to go to them. It's quite a little thing that isn't very significant, but to me something like that matters for the immersion, and especially for a game like Witcher 3, which is building on that immersion heavily. Need a lot of these small justifications and just attention to detail, basically. The environmental storytelling in this game is also just great. Most of the time you're exploring, you turn around a corner and you instantly see something interesting that you want to explore. You can see like what was a village, and you see the ruin of it, and next to it are like some ghouls, so you know, like, okay, this was probably raided by an army or something, and the ghouls are here to clean the corpses up, basically. There's just a lot of stuff where you look at it once and you instantly get like history of the place, you know. Everything feels like a real place with a history to it, not just part of the game map. And I especially loved the side quest in White Orchard, where you help someone find his brother on a battlefield. Basically you just see the aftermath of like a really big bloody battle, and that instantly like shows you what the game is about, really. The big conflict between the kingdoms, and that they're at war, and which factions are fighting against each other. And that's just a side quest, you know. It really adds a lot to the world and the story overall, which is pretty awesome. And I have personally never been bored of doing side content in The Witcher. It's one of the games where the side content is just as good as the main content. It's just awesome. I mean, I have over 300 hours in The Witcher, if you count my Steam and PS4 hours together. And I recently started a new playthrough, and I'm still finding new side quests that I have never even seen before, which is kind of insane if you think about it. I've been playing this game since 2017. Yeah, 300 hours plus, and I'm still seeing new stuff. It's kind of mind-boggling if you think about it. And it's not even hard to find side quests. It's just, you know, walking anywhere, basically you find something to do and you find something new. I don't know, it's just the best map that I've seen in a game, and really an awesome example of what an open world should be, especially because the whole world feels like it evolves and lives, basically. Even if you weren't there, things would go on. That's what it feels like. I mean, I haven't even talked about the music yet, which is like the biggest part of the immersion for me. It's so crazy how much the atmosphere is influenced by the music. you can just take a walk in The Witcher, and that shit is so immersive and so atmospheric. I don't know, man. This is gonna sound weird, but have you guys ever taken a walk when the sun shines? You just go through the woods and you listen to Lord of the Rings soundtrack. Has anyone done that before, or am I just weird? Because I really had like a sense of adventure when I did that. I just walked into the woods, explored a little bit, and you know, it was really fun. There wasn't anything unusual to look at. I mean, it was all just trees and hills and stuff like that, but just walking around the forest with music enhances the experience so much. Go try it if you haven't. I recommend it. And yeah, I get that same feeling when I'm playing The Witcher, you know, just walking around looking at this beautiful world, especially with the ray tracing. Oh my god, the ray tracing. This game is still one of the best looking games ever. But yeah, I could go on and on about this game and its immersion, but I want to talk about the story as well in this video. And I mean, the story is just like a really long book, you know. It could be like 3 books up, to be honest with you. Every area has like so many people and characters to meet, which all like give the world the personality. You know, Velen is like defined by the Crookback Bog and the Red Baron, and they give the place like a really creepy and sad vibe, which is just awesome. And there's so many side characters that you don't even necessarily have to interact with. Well, a lot of them you do, of course, because they're part of the story, but there are some awesome ones that are like one-off in like a side quest or something, which just have like a really intriguing story. I mean, you do have to read a little bit to get the full context of it, but I'm not a big reader. But in Witcher 3, I make an exception for that, because just reading through a diary of someone who used to live in a house that got attacked by monsters, and you get like to see basically the context of how the situation happened. It's really cool, and it makes all of these places you find really memorable. Anyway, I want to talk about the side characters. Who doesn't love Dijkstra or the Red Baron? I love both of them so much because their characters, they're both assholes, but they're so human and understandable, not necessarily relatable because they're pieces of shit, but you can kind of understand them and have like empathy for them, which is kind of insane if you think about it, because the Red Baron really is a big piece of shit, but I couldn't help but feel bad for him, you know. And you know, my favorite side character in this game, Gaunter O'Dim. Man, that guy is so creepy but so awesome. Just all the things you don't notice, and then you watch like a YouTube video and you go replay The Witcher with those things in mind, and the whole experience just changes and is like super fucking creepy all of a sudden, because you notice that this guy is watching you everywhere you are. He's always somewhere in the background. You can spot him in like a lot of places. It's really creepy, but he's so cool. And like God of War, this game is a really good story about family and like a father and his kid. God of War, the plot was pretty simple. I mean, God of War 2018. Basically, you're just trying to get to the highest peak in all of the world and bring the ashes of your wife there, because that was the last wish. And in The Witcher, it's pretty easy to understand as well. You are Geralt and you're looking for Ciri, your long lost daughter, or I guess adopted daughter. Then of course you have the second half with the whole Wild Hunt stuff. But the story doesn't get too complicated anywhere. I always found it pretty easy to understand what was going on. And no, sometimes there is like, you're getting sidetracked in the story and you have to do a lot of things that aren't necessarily very important to the plot, but those things are there to build character and stuff. And every mission in The Witcher just has something cool about it and something memorable. Yeah, my point is just the story doesn't really get too complicated. Only thing that was kind of convoluted was finding Ciri, but no, the concept isn't hard to understand. You have to find Ciri, but you had to do a lot of things to get there. Yeah, it's my favorite fantasy story ever, right next to Lord of the Rings. I think it's just amazing. And I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Cyberpunk, but I gotta say, CD Projekt Red is so good at writing stories. I'm not a sci-fi nut. I like Star Wars, that's about it. But Cyberpunk, the story was really intriguing as well. They're just really good at writing stories, I think. And the fact that your actions and choices have consequences, that is also just amazing. Of course, a lot of people would like to have it at a larger scale, because only some options actually change the outcome of the game, but it's the important choices, and that's all that matters really. Because I don't want to have to worry about if my choice is important or not. When you get like a story changing choice, most of the time you know, and it keeps the game so fresh and replayable. I have played it like 3 or 4 times and I still haven't seen every ending. It's just super awesome. But by far my favorite part of the story is just Ciri and Geralt, and just seeing them interact. I don't know, something about that was just really heartwarming. And I love Ciri as well. All the parts where you play as her are really cool, and if they really pull through with making Ciri the main character of Witcher 4, I have no complaints, honestly. I think that would be pretty cool actually. But we'll see, I guess. Maybe we get a completely new Witcher and character. That would be neat as well. But yeah, I'm just rambling right now. If I don't stop myself now, this video is gonna be like an hour long. Yeah, in short, I have nothing but praise for the story, and I'd say if you haven't played The Witcher, what are you doing? Get to it now. Play it right now. My dad is a big Witcher fan, like the Netflix series, and I'm trying to convince him to play The Witcher 3. He doesn't really like video games, but I'm sure I can convince him to play, because that is just an awesome story, even if you're not a fan of video games. It's just an awesome story. The last reason why I love The Witcher 3 is the gameplay. Obviously, a game can't be the best game of all time if it has shitty gameplay, but Witcher 3 definitely doesn't have shitty gameplay. I mean, it rewards you a lot for exploring the world and just being curious about the world, you know? Almost every time you make a turn, you see something interesting or cool, and you go over there, check it out, and it doesn't disappoint you, you know? It's actually like so much that if you try to do everything, I'd say you'd be overwhelmed pretty quick, because there's just so much stuff on your way. If you try to do everything on your way, you would like spend 2 hours between quests, because there's so much to do. One of the coolest side stories I just stumbled over was this devil in a hole who was like convincing people that he's a god and they have to make like sacrifices for him and bring him food, and you bust him basically. He's like a medieval scammer, like a scam artist, and you just bust him and you can choose like if you kill him or not. That's really neat, you know. The choice isn't very important to the plot, but you can choose like, okay, will I help these people or will I help this devil guy? And it's just really funny, even though it's kind of fucked up. The side quest is pretty funny. I mean, all of them have like a meaning behind it, you know, like fairy tales back in the day. They all had like a little purpose in mind when they were made, little something that was supposed to teach you or something, you know? Or they actually just show you some stuff about the real world, like how parents would just let their kids wander off into the woods when they didn't have enough food for them, and basically got rid of them that way. That's shown pretty well with the Crookback Bog. I mean, obviously there weren't witches who were cooking children, but it's the same premise basically. An open world game isn't really an open world game if you don't have these plants to collect, right? Every game has that. Every single open world game has these plants that you collect for some reason and do something with it. Most of the time it's like ammo, like in Ghost of Tsushima, but in The Witcher it's actual ingredients and you can make potions with it, and have a whole lot of alchemy to do, which is pretty awesome and in depth. I haven't really touched the alchemy system too much yet, but from what I've tried, the potions are really strong and you can be pretty broken if you just abuse them. But you can go the whole gameplay without even touching alchemy and still have fun with it, you know. There's a lot of different ways to approach the combat. Of course, you're kind of restricted to your swords, but how you use them and how you approach combat is up to you, you know, especially with the armors and all the little combinations you can do and the buffs you get. Last thing that I wanted to talk about is the DLC, because oh my god, Witcher 3 has the best DLC of any game I've ever played. Both of those DLCs could be considered standalone games and they would be pretty amazing. But the fact that their DLC is just insane. I think they are the reason why people have such high standards for DLC nowadays and call games like Tears of the Kingdom DLC, because we had game-sized DLCs with The Witcher, you know. I can understand why some people are disappointed with DLCs nowadays. But yeah, that's just insane. Especially Blood and Wine. Oh my god. That is really, in terms of length and content, a standalone game. It gives like a nice send-off for Geralt. It's just a pretty awesome DLC. And the Fairy Tale World. The Fairy Tale World, man. That place is awesome. In general, there are like some places in The Witcher where it's just awesome to be at and just take in the atmosphere. I mean, the music in the Fairy Tale World is just absolutely amazing and fits the world perfectly. The way the world looks is awesome. So vibrant, fairy tale. It's just amazing. Especially me, you know, as a German boy, I've like heard and seen all of these fairy tales as a kid, and most of them are represented in that fairy tale world, which was like pretty cool to see. Yeah, in general, in Witcher, it creates so many memorable moments. Just now when I was recording the gameplay for this video, I was walking through the woods and killing some dogs, and all of a sudden a Leshen is there, and I didn't even notice it. You know, I had crows and I thought the crows were like scared of me or something, and that's why they flew away. And all of a sudden I just hear like a rumbling sound. I turn around, there's a Leshen, he's fucking attacking me. I just fucking scream and run basically at that point. But there's so many times where you're just playing the game and it's like a cutscene is playing, you know. Just out of nowhere, like a cinematic moment just happens, and it's really cool. But yeah, enough rambling. I think I got my point across in this video. So in conclusion, why I love The Witcher 3, it has the perfect like medieval fantasy atmosphere that I've ever seen. The story is just amazing, and you know, there's so much, you can spend so much time with this game and get to learn all of these things about the characters. It's just crazy. I love the story, and I've played the game at least like 3 times now. And of course the gameplay, because that is the most important part of a game. If the gameplay sucks, the game sucks. But The Witcher just has like a perfect Witcher gameplay. They experimented a lot in like the first 2 games, but on the 3rd one they really hit the nail on the head. That was just amazing game, perfect. And if you haven't played it, I honestly recommend that you take like 3 or 4 weeks vacation and just sit down and play the game for those full 3 or 4 weeks. Because I think that's the best way to enjoy the game, to just completely dive into the story and immerse yourself in the world, and basically like take a trip there for 3 or 4 weeks. I promise you, you won't regret it. There's a reason why a lot of people think it's the best game ever, including me. So yeah, if you have played it, tell me what you think of The Witcher 3, and if you could like the video, that would help me out a lot. Now, we've reached 50 subscribers recently, which is pretty awesome, and I just wanted to thank you guys for all the support on the channel. So yeah, if you're new, subscribe, and I'll upload a video every 3 or 4 days. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. I'll see you next time.